Hey there, welcome back to 7 Minute Books. I'm Sam, and today we're talking about Darrin McMahon's book, Happiness, A History. Sophie, I have to ask, did you grow up thinking happiness was something you were supposed to chase?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, isn't that the whole message we get from every self-help book and magazine cover? But this book completely flipped that idea on its head. McMahon shows that for most of Western history, happiness wasn't something you pursued. It was something that happened to you, like weather.
Right, and it starts with the word itself. Happiness comes from an Old Norse word, hap, which means luck or chance. So originally, being happy just meant being fortunate.
Exactly. The ancient Greeks had this concept of eudaimonia, which roughly translates to having a good guardian spirit. It wasn't a feeling you worked for, it was a state of being blessed by the gods. And Aristotle thought only certain people could achieve it, men with leisure, education, and social standing.
So a slave or a woman couldn't be happy by definition. That's a far cry from the Declaration of Independence, saying we all have a right to pursue happiness.
Right. And then the Romans added this layer of worldly ambition. Cicero tied happiness to honor and public service. But even then, it was fragile. The Stoics said you had to detach from desires to find inner peace. The Epicureans said seek pleasure quietly. Both saw happiness as a sanctuary, not a given.
Then Christianity came along and basically said, nope, not on earth. Augustine argued that true happiness is impossible in this fallen world. We're all sinners, and our only real hope is the afterlife.
That's a huge shift. Happiness becomes a theological concept, a reward for suffering. The purpose of life isn't to be happy, it's to be good and obey God. That dominated the medieval period.
So when did things start to change? When did people start thinking happiness could be an earthly thing?
Slowly during the Renaissance and then the scientific revolution, thinkers began looking back to Earth. John Locke connected happiness to pleasure and pain, and he said something revolutionary. The necessity of pursuing happiness is the foundation of liberty.
That is revolutionary. If happiness is a necessity, then society should be organized to help people achieve it. That's the seed of the whole Enlightenment project.
Exactly. And Thomas Jefferson enshrined the pursuit of happiness in the Declaration of Independence. That was a staggering departure. Happiness was no longer a gift from God or luck. It was a natural right.
But here's the catch. If happiness is a right, then being unhappy becomes a kind of failure. The book really drives that home.
Yes. Voltaire had this cynical line. It is not enough to be happy. It is necessary that others should be unhappy. The pressure to measure up, to compare, that's the dark side of democratizing happiness.
And then the 19th century, you get these big collective visions. Utilitarianism wants the greatest happiness for the greatest number. Marxism promises a future utopia, but both often demand sacrifice now for happiness later.
Right. And then the 20th century brings psychology into the mix. Freud was deeply pessimistic. He said civilization is built on repression, and lasting happiness is impossible. We can only exchange one kind of misery for another.
That's bleak. But then positive psychology comes along and says, no, we can study what makes people thrive. Gratitude, resilience, meaning. It becomes this whole industry.
And McMahon points out the paradox. The more intensely you pursue happiness, the more elusive it can become. Studies show that people who place a high value on being happy often end up less happy because they're constantly evaluating their emotional state.
So the pressure to be positive becomes its own kind of tyranny. You're not allowed to just feel sad or angry without feeling like you're failing.
Exactly. And that's the real gift of this book. It's not a self-help guide. It's a mirror. It shows us that our modern obsession with happiness is a specific cultural invention, not a timeless instinct.
The part that got me was when McMahon says the definition of happiness is never neutral. It always reflects the values of the society that creates it. If we define it as material success, we get consumer culture. If we define it as inner peace, we get a culture of therapy.
Right.
And that's liberating in a way. If there's no single path, we can step back and ask ourselves, what kind of happiness are we actually seeking? Is it fleeting pleasure, deep satisfaction, quiet acceptance, or joyful connection?
For me, the takeaway is that happiness isn't a destination. It's a tension we live with, a question each generation has to answer for itself.
And if you want to go deeper into that question, the whole library is over on 7minutebooks.com/app. There are over 6,000 fiction and nonfiction titles you can read or listen to in any language, and it starts at just $2.99 a month, $9.99 a year, or $19.99 for lifetime access.
Happiness, a history of hope, fear, and our endless struggle to make sense of our time here. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you in the next one.